Hey there, everybody. This is our review of This Is Us Season 5, Episode 8. We have babies, we have a lot of babies, we have names, we have a very random cross storyline that confused me for a full hour.
We also had some actual information about Miguel and Rebecca and their love story and their marriage. It wasn't a lot, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, finally, Miguel had more airtime, I think, in this episode than like the whole season combined to this point.
This was such a wonderful, loving, wholesome episode. And I mean, this show can bring a lot of tragedy and a lot of mystery and questions. It was nice to just have an episode that was just pure love.
Yeah, like, nothing horrible happened. Nobody died. Madison did not die in childbirth. She's there. She's
Shocking.
fine. Yeah, I know. Everybody, have your jaws on the ground. Madison is still alive here. Kate actually, got to have the baby, which
Yep.
I didn't think was going to happen halfway through this.
I wasn't sure.
We got a lot to get into here, but, before we do, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this video. We are around for every This Is Us episode. We've always got a lot to discuss, and of course, we will be here for whatever is next.
Also, hope everyone had a really good Valentine's Day. We had a pretty good one over here, celebrating with the family. And we have some pictures up at our Instagram at Matt and Jess TV, so make sure you follow us over there.
Okay, let's start with the good and the happy, because there's so much good and happy, but I don't want to taint this video by getting my beef with it out of the way right away. We'll save that.
Okay, all right. So we'll just start with everybody had all their babies and everybody's happy with all their babies. So
Yes.
Kate ended up getting Hayley Rose. We've seen Hayley in the future, so this is actually her baby. There was a lot of theories out there that maybe she was gonna actually have a baby as well. I mean, it's possible she still might, but this is her baby.
The moment that Ellie said, "I want to hold the baby now," I was just like, "Oh no, this is over. It's not gonna happen anymore."
I was pretty worried, but I mean, it was done really well. It was nice to sort of see that moment with her saying goodbye, saying that she's doing this to give her a better life and that Kate is going to be wonderful. And, it was good.
It was like vintage This Is Us in a way, where they spent a good 5 minutes, manipulating and trying to, destroy every part of my heart, only to actually be like, "Oh, no, really, it's okay. You don't have anything to worry about. We just stressed you out for 5 minutes just to give you this, nice emotional speech," which was really, really good.
Yeah, it was nice to just see that she wasn't just like, okay, I've had this baby, hand it off, see you later. It was still like, let me have a moment here. Let me say goodbye. Let me heal my own heart. Let me sort of pass her on to you sort of thing. I mean, there's a part of me that's kind of hoping that she will still be somewhat involved, somewhat around if she wants to, because it seems like Kate and Toby would be open to that. I mean, Kate has developed a really good relationship with her.
Ellie seems like a nice person. She doesn't seem like someone who is going to go in and harm the development of Hayley in any
No.
sort of way. I would be fine with that. It'd also just be nice for Kate to have another friend, because she's got Madison, who's got a lot going on now. Clearly, she's got Timothy Amundsen, who is what have we seen him for 5 seconds this season?
Yeah, I mean, this show is about different family dynamics and different relationships, and having an adoption that's more of an open adoption where the mother or the father is still involved in some way. I mean, that would be a great thing to see.
The other part of this is the part of the story I guess I didn't see coming, was Toby in the parking lot initially getting in a fight with this guy over the spot. I don't remember if they ever gave his name, but, he was just really cranky at first.
Yeah, and I mean, they brought in that he is there, his wife's in the hospital because of the pandemic, and sort of that sort of storyline, which, we've seen some of this already in the show, and this is how Toby ended up getting the middle name, which is Rose. And if you stopped and paused this episode where he had his list, you might notice that Fogelman was one of the choices. So Good for you, Fogelman, for putting that on the list. I see what you did there.
You've already created the show. You've already got, your own love plays Madison on the show. What more do you need, Dan Fogelman?
I also saw Foggy on the list and thought that maybe they were like, I mean, this makes sense for Toby, but that there would be a name on there that would be sort of in the Daredevil kind of comic booky universe. So I saw Foggy on the list at first and I was like, okay, that makes sense, Daredevil, and he's kind of a comic book guy. And I was like, Fogelman? Okay.
Let's talk about all the pigs. Like, I don't know why, but I really like the pigs. It's like, I think it's just because I've known people like this who have like 40 knickknacks all over their dashboard.
Yeah, and you also know me, and we have, I think it's like 32 cat wine bottles in this house. I'm a collector. I like to collect stuff.
Yeah, and collecting can be a wonderful thing. It like shows personality. Granted, I don't know how we would get 32 cat wine bottles on a dashboard, but
no, but we have them in the house.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's the little
I think
things.
I actually have a picture of them all up on Instagram as well if you scroll through.
You can all see the wine bottles for yourself. There's no wine in them. We drank all of them, but those are all still there. I really like this. I don't know why. It touched my heart. I think especially I was so invested in Rose, this character I had barely met. Like, I would have been like just emotionally destroyed if she didn't make it.
All right, let's talk about Kevin. He actually made it. There was a lot of really good theories from you guys that I was really hoping they were going to go in this direction. That De Niro was going to end up sending a private plane to get Kevin to the hospital on time. I thought that was a really cool idea. I thought it would be nice to have De Niro step up and still be like, hey, listen, we're still going to do this. I get what's happening. Let's just get you there, see your babies. You can come back. We can all get everything done. That is not what happened. It seems like the head of the TSA helped Kevin and got him back.
I was hoping for either the De Niro angle. I was kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it was going to be like, coming on the news, Kevin, great hero, saves person in the... I still want that to come back.
Yeah, and I still feel like it actually will come back, that it will be sort of the thing that pushes Foster and everyone to bring Kevin back, because then they all look like jerks if they don't bring him back after he saves someone's life in the middle of going home for his babies.
Yeah.
And then Foster's like, man, no. I mean, it's a bad look for him.
It's totally a bad look, and I just feel like if you were saved by a famous person, we barely know this dude who was saved, but you're gonna want to tell someone. Like, this is like an icebreaker at every conversation for the rest of your life. Like, this is going to spread.
There was also a lot of other comments about this, which, we're going to talk about now too, which is that we saw that Kevin lost his ID.
Yeah.
He had already presumably crossed the border, because you can't cross the border without your passport. He needs his passport. He can't just come back and forth from Canada with your driver's license. Those days are gone. That used to be a thing like way back in the 80s or even 90s, but that is not anything that is allowed anymore. So when he dropped his ID, he would have still had his passport. That's not something that you can put in your wallet or anything like that. So unless the passport was maybe in the jacket, I mean, he didn't mention this passport at all. I was kind of wondering if it was going to play out like that maybe he was going to just have forgotten that he also has a passport. And then when he finally got there, be like, I lost my ID, but I remembered in my frantic state, I finally remembered I also had my passport to get home.
This is my response to all of this. This is the screwed up, because I don't have a regular ID because I can't drive, and I sure as heck don't want to go to the DMV just to get an ID, but I have a passport I use for everything. I've used passports to get through TSA all the time. It's like, they just forgot. Like, I think it's probably, like you mentioned, maybe they crossed the border last, whoever wrote this, in like the 90s, and they didn't know.
Yeah, Matt and I are both dual citizens of here in Canada, and we've crossed the border a bunch of times. And yeah, you can't just go back and forth with your driver's license. You have to have a passport. So, Plot hole, where's your passport?
It is with the ovulation kit / pregnancy test.
Yes, that was also something. Okay, so he did show up for the birth, which is great. That's something that I think a lot of us out there were really hoping was going to come through for him. I mean, he had that conversation where he was kind of like, man, I want to be like my dad. He would save someone and still show up for the kids. And now Kevin has gotten that own validation for himself, that he was able to do the same, be the man that his dad was. And, you know, he's building his own sort of self-esteem in that way. So I was glad to see that work out the way it did.
I liked everything with him showing up. I love the stuff with Randall and Beth. I love Randall telling the Mbop story for some reason, that this is what he's going to.
Listen, man, when that song was popular, everyone was listening to it. We all loved it, even if we pretend like we didn't.
Wait a second. We all loved it?
Oh, don't pretend like you didn't.
Okay, it was catchy. I will not admit that I loved it, but it was catchy.
That's fine, you don't have to, but you did.
Okay, well, anyway, we had Randall and Beth telling this story to Madison. All of this was sweet. It was endearing. Madison's giving birth. Where is Dr. Horse? I am saying it one last time.
Yeah, I mean, they really made a big deal about him in that one episode. I mean, it's probably just she went into labor a bit early. He wasn't available. It was whatever doctor was maybe on call or someone else that she was working with. You see multiple doctors. I mean, they said he's got a big role, so let's see if he does. And, you know, I was just really happy to see Kevin and Randall. The talks are open. They're open. They've started talking a little bit. I like that Randall was like, listen, I'm really glad that you want to have this conversation with me. You want to talk about what it was like for me growing up. You know, I appreciate that you're sorry for the things you said. I also said things, which I'm really glad that they both were like, we both said things and we need to talk about it. But Randall was right. It was not the time to talk about it, but he was like, yeah, we will have an actual sit down, hash it all out. We're brothers. We're going to get through this. It was time. Listen, I don't want to go through the whole season where they're angry at each other.
No, that's not fun. It feels like we've already seen sort of the emotional turmoil between the two of them. I'm fine to move into healing. I don't know if we'll see every conversation with the two of them.
Oh man, I really hope we do.
I hope we do too, because I think, you know, Justin Sterling will really knock that stuff out of the park, and there's a lot that needs to be said still.
And also, we were part of all the turmoil, so like I want to be part of all the healing as well, selfishly.
Well, we need more positive, uplifting things from this show. We've already been through, like, the muck and the sadness and the despair.
Let's talk about another uplifting, wholesome thing, which is the names of these twins. Frances, after it seemed like Madison's grandmother. Nicholas, having Nikki back on the show and having that conversation where he's, you know, Kevin's like, oh yeah, his name is Nicholas, and his face being like, Nicholas? What? He's named after me? No, he's named after Nick Cage, but also maybe you. There was like just that moment that Nikki didn't really say anything, but you could see all over his face and just this tiny little curl of a smile of how touched he was. That their relationship means this much. It was awesome.
It was sweet. It was endearing. I do have to say, if the kid was named after Nick Cage, do you know what his first few words are going to be?
All right, let's hear it.
The clue is in the Constitution. No, okay, I'm done. All right, so no, it was great to see Nikki back. They haven't really used him very much at all as of late. It was great, as you mentioned earlier, to have Miguel around.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So there was them up at the cabin, and they had two really important conversations.
Yeah.
One was about the fact that it seems like they talked about their marriage. They talked about when they got married. It seems like they got married in Puerto Rico, that she was like, he was talking about getting her the cocktails and being like, a little bit of flirting. I remember you drank a whole bunch of these when we got married. And she's like, I was happy. I was married, you know, cut me some slack. I was just like, man, these are like the little moments that we don't get a lot of between the two of them. And I thought that was really important.
I hope that this Miguel-Rebecca love story doesn't get cut. Because this is my fear with it, is that I don't know if we're going to get the full episode count that they planned for this season because of the pandemic and everything else. It's possible season 6 still going to be the final season. Maybe it doesn't have an extended episode order and they have to drop like 4 or 5 episodes that they originally were planning. I'm worried that we're not going to get the Rebecca and Miguel content that I feel like we need.
The one bit of content that we did get, though, that I truly appreciate the show giving me is the conversation between the two of them about Jack and how they both have had to deal with losing him because they both loved him in obviously different ways, but they both loved him, respected him, cherished him. And which is why I've always wanted to have this backstory with how they got together and how they dealt with maybe their guilt about getting together, or if they were going to actually try to stop their love, like any of that type of stuff. Like, how did they get to here? And to have that conversation where she's like, listen, I know that we don't really talk about this and how it weighs on you or it weighs on me in this marriage, and I really appreciate that we don't go there because it is something that, you know, Rebecca really carries with her in a different way, where she was just like, I appreciate we don't really talk about it, but basically thank you for having the patience of a saint with me. And, you know, it was just nice to have it acknowledged, because I've seen, you know, comments out there about sort of Rebecca maybe putting a lot on Miguel, that she is still very much, you know, the love of her life is gone and she is carrying this with her, but now she's in another marriage. So how does that work?
It was a very, I think, important thing that they explored. I think they did it well. I think they had the conversations in a respectful way for the two of them. And I just think Miguel comes across as someone who understands their situation. He's supportive of it, and he still tries to find ways to make things fun for the two of them that are kind of their own. Like, let's play board games for an extended period of time that he's drug out of some place.
Yes.
Okay, now we got to get to the beef, and
Here's the beef.
I feel really guilty about this beef, by the way. Like, I legitimately feel bad about this. Okay.
All right, well, you shouldn't. Let's hear the beef. I say before I know what your beef is.
The Nasir, Ahmed, and Esther storyline here. Okay, we saw their sort of love story throughout, and it's revealed at the end of the episode that Nasir is one of the pioneers that came up with this technology that we use in a lot of different things today, including video calls. And it's like, this is a very important story, and, you know, I love that he is being honored. And, like, truly, I'm not being facetious here. Like, I'm really, really happy for all of that. But I absolutely do not like the way they did this at all, because it made me feel like for the entirety of the episode that they were setting up some huge reveal where Nasir was going to be, like, related to somebody, that they were going to be maybe related to something going on with Kate or Madison or whatever else. And then when I found out the truth, I was admittedly disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed that we're honoring people who have done, like, legitimately great things for the world. They just hoodwinked me.
Yeah, I almost wish, because it did feel like a bit of trickery on the show, the way that they did it, I almost wished that we figured it out another way with him in sort of more present time. You know, they said at the end of the show, they've been married a really long time, and sort of have him involved in some other way, or have an actor involved that's him in present day, that they sort of cross the paths, because it is important. This was the way that everyone was able to communicate. Yeah. Rebecca was able to see all her grandchildren and that sort of thing. So I do wish that they were just more transparent with it. And now we'll get to my beef.
All right. Here we go.
So my beef is with Kate calling these babies the new big three. That bothers me, and I might be on an island with this by myself, and I wasn't even sure I was going to talk about it in the video, but here we are. We are 18 minutes in.
That's right.
19 minutes in. If you're still here, then you're going to be here for my beef. So my beef is that it actually kind of takes away from the actual big three. These are three siblings. Now we have twins who are siblings, and then we have Hayley, who is a cousin. So they're not all siblings. I get they're all born on the same day, but then it also kind of feels like it takes away from the other children, like, you know, Annie or Tess or Deja or anyone else, or baby Jack, that they're all sort of like, oh, you guys are not included. You guys are now the big three, or taking on this like really big, heavy, like, you know, moniker from the family to carry on, and that you guys are the new big three, when there is only one big three for me in this show. They're not the next big three. They're just three kids that were all born on the same day.
That's okay. I didn't necessarily think when I was watching it, oh, it was, you know, this was kind of disrespecting the original big three, though I totally get that now. But I will admit.
Not disrespecting, but it takes away from it for me, where it's like not as special, or, you know, I don't know.
I do actually I kind of think that is disrespectful to the original big three, now that I kind of have time to think about it. But, like, I did have the other reaction immediately, which was okay, this is very disrespectful to baby Jack, to Tess, to Annie. Can't they just be the big seven? Like, is that wrong to call them the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I understand what Kate was trying to say, where it's like, oh, here are twins that are born and then another baby, but they're not all siblings. This isn't like Randall coming in, and I get that she's adopted Hayley, so she's like, oh, it's the twins and another adoption, big three. I get it, and I know you guys are going to tell me that in the comments, so I'm ready for it. But it doesn't feel the same to me, because they're not all siblings. Hayley is not coming in as a sibling to them. She's coming in a different form. She is their cousin. This isn't like the Randall situation. So for me, there's only one big three. I don't want to hear it on the show again, but I probably will.
Tinfoil hat here for a moment.
All right.
We know This Is Us is probably going to want to do a spinoff. Mm-hmm. Could it be the new big three? Like, is this going to be it?
I think the spinoff may not be them, but I think it's going to be sort of all the kids, the next generation of people. So, because if it's only those big three and we don't have like Deja or Tess or Annie or Jack or whatever, like, I'm not going to be happy with that. Like,
no.
Give me all of them or give me none of them.
We'll see where this goes, because, yeah, this is the last thing I sort of think about here is, like, what's really left now, in a way? Because it's like, Randall's doing better, Madison's had the kids, mm-hmm. Kate has adopted. Like, other than the flash forwards, a lot of big stories have kind of been, not tied up, but they've sort of, some of the laces are kind of together now.
They are, but, you know, having children, it opens up new challenges. I mean, we got Kevin and Madison, who are still trying to figure out their relationship, and now they're parents of 2 kids. So, I mean, that's going to take a toll on them. They'll have wonderful moments, but it's also going to be very, very hard on them. And I mean, this is now going to change the dynamic as well of Toby and Kate. They have one kid. They have figured it out. They have a kid with special needs. Now they're bringing in another kid. So, you know, it will change the dynamic. Some things will change. What is the new big story going forward for Randall? I don't know. But there's definitely still a lot of story left for Rebecca. I mean, she is getting more ill, and we still haven't had our big Miguel story. Yeah. So there's still some stuff there. It's nice to just have a breath.
We all had a win here. Nothing terrible happened. We can all rejoice in that. Let us know, what moment in this episode made your heart sing, made it happy, made you smile?
Should have been Hayley Fogelman.
Let us know if Hayley Fogelman rings off the tongue to you guys. And if you like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. We have links to the store, our Patreon, and we will see you here next time.